Hey guys, welcome. I am Demon Monkey, and we have another high-level replay today. I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce our players for us here, and I do have John with me. He's been in my most previous videos, so you guys probably know him by now. But in our bottom right corner of Akilon Waste, we have a red Protoss whose name is Protoss.
Yeah, and in the top right, we've got the blue Zerg player swarming your ass.
So I think we're gonna have some fun with this name here.
Yeah, we are. I'm already having fun with it.
So this matchup, I feel like Stargate's come into play a whole lot now, especially with the changes in Heart of the Swarm. You know, Oracles can easily harass an entire mineral line and kill every drone in it. And, you know, you have the Void Rays that do extra damage against Armored, and I feel like that is one legitimate response to Ultralisk, which are amazingly good now. Now, one thing to remember with the Ultralisk, they do 45 damage against any unit now. Before, they only did 45 damage to armored units.
Ooh. Wow.
Yes. Indeed.
So, right now, it's looking like Swarm is going to go hatch first. No pool yet. Oh, never mind. Scratch that. You tricked me. It's going to go pool first. And...
Now, yes, and one thing, getting your pool earlier, we already see Protoss here with his pylon on the low ground, which indicates some sort of force fast expand, usually. Usually that's what that indicates. But also, if Swarm, he saw that early probe, he said, okay, he's going to deny my expansion even if I try and take it. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw down a spawning pool, and that's why you see him now pulling 2 drones, is to deal with this probe.
Yep, and also we see Protoss going Nexus first here. So he's going to be focused more economically. He's actually going to have the Forge down before the Gateway, so he's going to have a little later Cyber Core. So it looks like he's not going to be planning any really early Gateway timing attacks.
Now, in Heart of the Swarm, I do see a lot of, instead of Forge openings, Forge Fast Expand, which is oh so common nowadays. I've seen, now it's where going Gateway then Cyber Core is a lot more viable because of that Mothership Core, because of the Photon Overcharge on the Nexus, being able to help defend against Zerglings in that approach as compared to having a physical cannon there. But, you know, Forge Fast Expand, it's still a great build for Protoss to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's helped me survive a few Zergs in Heart of the Swarm. I'm starting to get a little better, you know, every game. Slowly learning the new units and how to use them correctly and efficiently.
Now here's something that I want to bring up, and I think it's something so amazing. I've noticed Zerg players do this. As soon as their first queen comes out, they will inject larvae in it, and he might have injected a few more than just once, but he'll inject it, and then he'll walk it down to the natural, and the timings will work perfectly, especially with the spawning of the new queen and then another hatchery. And I think what he'll do here with this, also because of the same timing, with this queen, he's going to inject and then move to the 3rd base. And we might see that here pretty soon. But even possibly not. It's just something that I've seen a lot of players do with their timings. But he's going to transfer some drones, and he's doing the gasless 3-base build. And if Zergs can get away with this, they can drone all they want until our Protoss player goes on the aggressive.
Yeah, there's some, I guess it's, who is that? TLO that builds drones just like crazy before building any attacking units? That's TLO, right?
Yes,
okay.
I do believe.
Yeah, that's like, I love TLO's play. It just goes heavy economic builds, and I don't know, I just like the macro play from Zerg. It's really impressive.
And Zerg are one of the best races to macro because their production facilities, not to mention that is the hatcheries that do build, that's where they produce all their units from. So it's better to have expansions as Zerg than it is to, say, have them as Protoss. I mean, of course, don't quote me like, oh my goodness, he said that it's better for Zergs to expand than it is for Protoss to expand. And that is actually pretty true. I mean, you take a 1-base Zerg play and you compare it to a 1-base Protoss play or a 1-base Terran play, and they just don't equal up.
Yeah, 1-base Protoss play versus 1-base Zerg play is just gonna roll over it. But 3 base versus 3 base, or not 3 base, maybe 3 base versus 4 base, it starts getting crazy because, you know, usually they've got a macro hatch and they've got all the queens injecting larvae, and they just can produce crazy amounts of units in very little amounts of time. Hey, look, and there's macro hatch that I was just talking about.
Yeah, now something that's really interesting here, he's putting it at the 3rd, which means it's kind of wide open. Now, why do you think he would do that?
I guess it's kind of like a free creep expand thing as well, but it's also kind of far away from the 3rd. Normally they're a little closer to the hatchery, but this one's kind of out in the middle of just everywhere. Oh, it might actually be a little closer to the gas. That might be a reason to do that.
Okay, yes,
I
I do.
faster, and you've got the hatch to make units as well.
I do see that now. And what is our Protoss doing over here? He's building more gateways, 4 gateways down here. Actually, 6 gateways in total. A robo facility coming. I'm going to grab that observer. And the Twilight Council now warping in. So we could see some sort of charge or blink, but I think he's just going to expand here because we see the sentries breaking down on these rocks. Now, something Zergs could do, they used to be able to do, when a Protoss would say, alright, it's time to take my 3rd, and this map is a great example for it, you know, the Zergs could easily counterattack with just 20 or 30 lings, and that'd be an entire mineral line gone. However, now with the new Heart of the Swarm, with the rock towers that they have around, or the, you know, collapsible debris that you can break, that's another wall in that your Zerglings have to try and break through.
Yeah,
if
and
they want to get the mineral line.
Just to interrupt you for a little bit, Swarm is actually going to go for the Spire right now. It's going down behind his natural.
You know, that is something that I did wonder. I remember there was a phase back, I don't know when it was, a year or 2 ago, but when Protoss against Zerg, all the Zergs would go for Mutiling, and it was extremely effective if they could control it correctly. And now in Heart of the Swarm, I feel like that's going to come back. It's going to be really, really viable still because of the new Mutalisk regeneration. I think it's called Tissue Regeneration. That is what the ability is called. But they basically heal faster while out of combat. And even sometimes if they're in combat, but they're not taking damage, they still heal really, really fast.
Oh wow! So it kind of makes them heal like the roaches when they're burrowed.
Yes.
Very interesting. And the mothership
and they're
cores move
faster
across the map.
The Mutalisk are faster in Heart of the Swarm also, so that is something to keep an eye out. Do we have any? Oh my goodness! 13 Mutalisk being built here, and the Zerg flyer attacks. Now, normally you'd be like, okay, you know, I normally see high-level players building, you know, 8 or 10 Mutalisk, and then they're going to try and harass with that as much as possible. But behind that, they're just going to get their 4th, get their 5th. They're going to, you know, expand like crazy. Well, Swarm here, because he's getting the flyer attacks, I feel he's going to build just a gigantic death ball of mutas in general.
Yeah, and actually they're gonna pick the mothership core off right here because the mothership core is just sitting out in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of curious. I'm wondering why he's had the mothership core just kind of floating out by itself.
Now, just to give you sort of a reference to how fast the trying to talk and something weird. Anyway, how fast the Mutalisk actually are. Stalkers move at 2.95 speed, so that is really close to 3, and Stalkers are one of the fastest units in the game without any upgrades. Mutalisk move at 4 speed per second, so they have a whole extra 1 up on the Stalkers. So that is just something that is kind of crazy. You can sort of get the idea there. And Zealots move at about 2.25, so Zealots move at about 2, and if you know how fast Zealots run, you can sort of get an idea.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. I mean, what the Zerglings? Yeah, the Zergling speeds. The Speedling, sorry, has a 4.7 move speed, and that's so the Mute is really, really fast.
Indeed. So we see more and more Mutas coming out here. We see the Zerg flyer attacks being started, and getting the ground carapace and the melee attacks. And we see a spine crawler wall coming out now. The hallucinated Phoenix. Remember, hallucination is free now. And he's just going to come in here. He's going to pick off the sentries, and he can actually kill all of these Stalkers here if he really wants. But that is one thing he's going to have to be careful about, is storms from High Templars. because they will destroy grouped up mutas.
Storms always destroy mutas. I love when people just clump them up and you see that and you're just like, oh, hey, and they're going to keep them still too, so you just storm them and it does crazy amounts of damage to the mutas.
You know, it kind of reminds me when back when Terrans used to go like mass battle cruiser in the really late game. That was for I know that
mass
was for
battle cruiser.
But it would just be like storm after storm after storm and Archon toilets, and it was insane.
So we see the mutas going in there now. Their mutas are really roaming free right now because they just got away from the army because their speed is just so fast. There's so many mutas here. I wonder if he can even take this with the stalkers. I mean, now she's going to go down here. The blink, he's not going to have enough room to blink. He's picking off so many workers right now. Blink train, oh, he's going to get forced over the cannons, so he's between a rock and a hard place right now. He's losing a few mutas. Cannons, 2 cannons taken down, a few stalkers taken down, but the mutas, how many workers did he kill right there? 15 workers killed with that muta harass.
Now, normally that would be crazy, you know, losing 8 or 10 mutalisks, however many he did lose. He didn't lose a whole lot, but he did kill 15 workers there. But he has his 5th and 6th gases already, so he's ready to just go full out on this muta. Oh, the storm!
Ooh, beautiful storms going down.
Good storms. You see the mutalisk body parts like flying all over the place. That is just genius. You know, there's actually a guy who is the death animation guy for Starcraft 2. Yes.
There's so many mutas. There are so many mutas.
I feel Protoss is doing the right approach right here. You know, I always say, if I can't defend my base because really fast-moving units that harass, just go on the total offensive, but he's actually going to pull back here.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of forced to pull back because there's so many lings and mutas here at the same time, and they're just going to roll through this base. Looks like all the workers are going to get picked off because the lings are going to run through there, as the mutas are too, and the mutas are just going to split up, and they're going to go after the tech, taking out the Templar Archives. Templar Archives goes down. The mutas splitting up to avoid the storms, but there's no High Templar in sight, so mutas are going to go after the probes in the main. Mutas are still taking out all these probes right here, and they're just doing crazy amounts of damage right now.
Yeah, and High Templar are extremely slow, 1.88. Not only do mutas move twice as fast, a little bit more. Oh, the storms!
2 good storms going down right there, taking a little bit of damage on the mutas. 8 more mutas in production, with 6 spine crawlers as well.
Now, one thing to look here, Protoss is at 150 supply, and Swarm is at 180. Now, the difference between these two players, Swarm has taken no economic damage, while dealing out a whole lot of economic damage, and look at his bank. It says it all right there. 5,300 minerals and about 2,000 gas. He is ready to just get tier 3 tech if he needs it. He's now getting the hive. He's building a whole lot of Zerglings, and the reason being is because Protoss is going to push here. And these spine crawlers, they're not going to last a whole lot, but they are going to dish out a pretty decent amount of damage, taking out a few zealots, a few stalkers there, before they do end up falling.
Yeah, they should be able to soften up the army a little bit for the Zerglings, but the zealots have 3 weapons, so I mean they're going to be able to hit these Zerglings pretty fast. The mutas have taken out almost everything in the natural, though. They're working on the Nexus right now after they pick off the stalker. Actually, they're just going to go around and start picking off pylons and unpowering all the gateways. Now
something that's interesting here, with all the Zerglings that just spawned, he ran them to the opponent's base. He did not even let them engage the army. So we're at, once again, John, a third base race scenario out of the 5 replays I think we've done so far.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I don't think Protoss can win this, though. There's just so many Zerg buildings. Zerg has another base that I don't think Protoss has even seen. Yeah, Protoss hasn't even seen the base that's in the left corner.
Also, Swarm, he can pull back at any time because of how fast his unit composition actually is. So if he wants to pull back, he can pull back and try and defend that. But I think all the buildings might just fall here before he can even get back to his base.
Yeah, Protoss only has 2 pylons that are out in the open, and he's only got 96 minerals, so he's not going to be able to rebuild. He has to be able to engage this army, and it has to be literally be a perfect engagement. There are 19 more mutas about to pop right now. 19 mutas just popped. So, I can't even... There's so many mutas. There are so many... He just can't handle this. There are not enough stalkers. He'd have to hit perfect storms on all these mutas in order to win.
And even then, I don't think it's likely because there are these drones over here, and they can build multiple hatcheries if they need to. And he's leaving the Zerglings at the base. He doesn't even need them here. And the Zealot's going to go up here, kill off that hatchery. And we see the Spine Crawler wall moving in. And Protoss saying,
Oh,
storm!
good storms, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Yep, and he leaves the game. There's nothing he could do. There's so many Spine Crawlers and Mutas. And look at that bank. He could have just remaxed that army so fast.
But now in Protoss's position, I feel... Oh, okay. I see what Swarm did there.
Oh, he picked up the pylon.
Yeah, he tanked all the storms while going for the pylon. Okay. That makes a lot more sense to me as compared to just throwing all his mutas at the army. I was kind of mesmerized there for a second.
Yeah, it does make a little more sense.
He had no way of building another Nexus. Even if he would have, say, come down here and secured a base, you know, he could have technically still pulling back, but even then it was very slightly, because Zerg still had multiple bases that he could have taken and or was mining off of. He actually was not mining at the end, but he did have this base up here at the middle position. I think it was his 5th base that he did end up taking. That still has a pretty good mineral count there.
Yeah, this is just a really good play by Swarm. I mean, the mutas are really powerful, like you said earlier in the game. These mutas, they regenerate their health. They're so fast. It's just really hard to multitask to keep up with the mutas.
Right, guys. So remember, we have a whole lot of replays that we've been doing lately. You can find them all on my channel. Go there, you see them all. So some great plays so far that we've seen, and all of these replays that we're doing, they are High Master to Grandmaster level in Heart of the Swarm. So if you are a Master player and or a Grandmaster player and you want to submit some replays, there will be an email that you can submit them to below. Feel free to. And on that note, I think we're done here. You know, it's just a great play showing how the new Mutalisk can be used against Protoss here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just Protoss are gonna have to figure out a new way to counter these mutas because they're a lot more powerful than Wings of Liberty mutas.
Ready then? Well, we will see you all. We will see all you guys soon, and there's a lot more stuff to come.
Thank you guys. See you next time.